way to come back with such a failed early attack like I had. So he has a pretty much overwhelming force here, way more than I have, and he just comes in here and starts crushing me. But again, I'm not inclined to give up so easily. I bring all my SCVs over, drop down my Vikings, and try to pull it out. So micro the Vikings a little bit. It's important to micro those more expensive units like that. Pop them up for a second to get away from the roaches, and then as soon as they stop focus firing, drop them back down. So somehow I fought that off. I took heavy losses on my SCVs, but hey, what the hell? I'm still in the game, right? And at this point, my Expo is actually starting to get saturated over here. It's an orbital command too, which is great. It's doubling my mules. I popped a Thor out, which is kind of funny, but you know, I try different things pretty much every game. I'm always doing something different. I don't like to go with set build orders this early in the beta. What's the point? You know, you wanna do what you can to learn more about the game rather than just trying to abuse one build order. So, got my Thors running around. I kind of stirred up a hornet's nest right there, as you could see, by attacking those guys. Probably wasn't that good of an idea. Here comes my SCVs again. A couple of Thors. Thors are actually really pretty decent counter to Hydras, because Hydras come out base 0 armor, as you saw for a split second there when I moused over them. They come out with 0 armor and 90 health. Thors do, between their 2 attacks, exactly 90 damage per attack, per their double attack, basically. So they essentially one-shot Hydras if the Hydras have no upgrades, no armor upgrades, and you have no upgrades on your Thor attack. So Thors are pretty good at counter to Hydra, actually, even though not everybody's realized that yet, I guess. But Thors do have some weaknesses, obviously, but I was just kind of having fun in this game, and what the hell, why not build a few Thors? They're also another good thing about Thors, and I think part of my thought process at the time was they were kind of an insurance or an early counter to mutas. You know, if he comes into my base with 6 or 7 mutas, like often happens when they first push out mutas, a handful of Marines is just not enough to stop those mutas. But one Thor will kill all of them if they decide to attack your, you know, harass your base with your Thor. You know, you have mutas in the back of your base. You send one Thor over there and he stops them. He has like 10 range, I believe, on his anti-air attacks. I wish they would give him more range on his ground attacks, but whatever. That's a discussion for another day. Anyway, he has incredible range on his anti-air attacks, and when he comes over here, say, you know, you're getting harassed by mutas in the back, he comes over here, and you're already surrounded by SCVs to repair him. So that one Thor can take on a pretty big handful of mutalisks while you pump more Vikings and Marines or whatever else you want to really counter the mutas later. So a couple of Thors is actually not a bad idea when you're into one of these weird games where shit has kind of hit the fan and you don't really know what your opponent's going to do next. You know, neither of you is really following a given build order because of the weird ass game. Pop a Thor 2 out is kind of a insurance policy against mutas. So at this point I'm so fortified. I have a bunch of tanks up on the ledge. I got Thors, I got Banshees, Marines. He sends a huge force at me and just completely gets stuffed himself. So even though that game, that's the GG right there, even though the game turned out looking like I was just completely screwed, you know, I did an all-in attack early on, had basically no economy to speak of, got stuffed where my first Banshee got killed with barely even killing anything. I mean, maybe he killed like one worker, I'm not sure, but he did basically nothing. And I'm running around with, you know, one Banshee and a couple of workers, and my opponent has his main fully saturated and he's got an Expo up. Well, looks like it's GG, but as you can see, if you stay in the game and you fight hard enough, sometimes you can come back from it, you know? It's worth trying. I mean, all the best players, if you watch replays of the best players, they have one thing in common. They're tenacious. They don't give up so easily. If they fall behind, they're going to keep trying, you know? They're not going to quit because they're all in it looks like it failed early on, they're just going to keep pushing, and that's what you should try to do too. You learn a lot. You learn more things about the game when you stay in those games where it looks like you're hopeless, like you have no chance, and every once in a while you'll even pull out the win. On that topic, I was looking at statistics of the top platinum players in beta the other day, and I noticed something kind of interesting. The top 20 players, like if you add all of the platinum divisions together and you just rate them in order of total rating, so it's kind of like a combination of all of the platinum divisions. If you look at the top 20 players compared to like the top 50, there's only a difference of like 1 or 2 percentage points of win ratio, like literally like 1 or 2 percentage points. So there's not really a difference between those players as far as how good of players they're playing. They're all pretty much playing the top ranked players whenever they queue for a match, whoever's available online. They're playing the same level of players. It's just the separator between the top 20 and the top 50 in Platinum right now is literally like 1 or 2 percentage win ratio. So what does that mean? Well, you'll win 1 or 2. You'll probably win more than 1 or 2% of the games that it looks like you've totally lost, like this one. You know, if you stick in there, that could very well be the difference between being a top 20 player and a top 50 player. Whether or not you stick out these, you know, stick in there and try your hardest in games where it looks like you've lost for sure. So hopefully this has been a little bit of an inspiration, if nothing else, to stay in those games where it looks like it's completely over. Again, the way that you need to try to battle back is not following up a failed all-in attack with another failed all-in attack. What you want to do instead is harass your opponent, keep just bugging him from various angles, get some annoying units, and just run around and try to keep him contained. Make him want to play it safe and just sit in his base until he stops your harassment and then attack you. In the meantime, that buys you time, and just slowly scramble your way back into the game with superior micro or whatever else. You know, this, by the way, this one thing that I didn't mention about this game, this Zerg player is not some complete scrub or something like that. You know, he's ranked 11 Zerg within his own platinum division, so he's, you know, this is not a game of me failing against some like gold or silver player that I completely outmatched or something like that. I mean, this was a fairly even matchup, and I started off horribly and still came back and got the win because I just played tenaciously. I stayed in there, didn't give up, and it paid off for me in the end. So anyway, that's all for this time. I'll try to pump out a couple more audios soon, but check out the site, and until next time, this is Endrick.